Why is Spawn number 9 of all things suddenly exploding in sales after 30 years? We'll break down why this book is trending up 233% this week.
Alan Moore and Paul Chadwick team up for a hidden gem that blends pulpy retro adventure with big sci-fi questions.
And from should-be classic Marie Severin and John Romita Sr. covers to a mystery blind bag pick, we've got those underrated books of the week right here on a new Bronze and Modern Gods. Richard, I'm a happy guy this week. You know why?
Why are you happy this week?
I'm going to talk about our soundtrack of the week. Yes, soundtrack of the week. New feature here. Very quick. You can skip it if you want. It's at the beginning of the show. I pick something that I've been listening to all week and recommend it to you guys. Richard, have you ever heard of Failure from the 90s?
No.
Failure is a post-grunge band, I would say, and they have an album called Fantastic Planet. Here's the cover. See how it looks like a pulp spaceship cover? It's really cool. Do you remember the 1973 animated feature from France called Fantastic Planet with these giant aliens chasing humans?
It sounds familiar.
They used to show it in our elementary school. It like freaked us out. They were obsessed with that film and they did this concept album. All these songs are about science fiction and space and relationships. It's awesome, you guys. It's kind of like if Nirvana met Yes or Supertramp. So it's like grunge prog rock.
Oh, okay. Sounds like a Rush then.
Yeah, exactly. So check out Failure, Fantastic Planet if you have not. And also check out our hot book of the week. Richard, what is it?
Hot book this week is, as a surprise, it's Spawn number 9 from Image Comics. It's the first appearance of Angela, created by Neil Gaiman and Todd McFarlane. Angela debuts here, later acquired by Marvel and rebranded as Aldrich Odensdotter, Thor's half-sister.
I love the literal last names of the Asgardians. Odensdotter. It's also, by the way, first appearances of Medieval Spawn and Cogliostro. It also makes it a triple key, right?
Cover is inspired by Wonder Woman number 72, giving it extra visual cachet. I've always loved the looks of this cover. This has always been a cool cover.
Did you know this was a swipe/homage of Wonder Woman 72?
I did not. I didn't. You know, it's kind of busy, but if you look at it, kind of taking away some of the elements, I could definitely see that.
I can see it. I don't know if it was intentional though, but here's why it's trending, guys. Marvel Rivals announced Angela is going to be a character in season 4. So we've seen a 233% increase in copies sold this week versus last week. Richard, are you gonna mortgage the house and go all in?
No, this was a spec book. Oh, what, about 2 years ago at this point? 3 years ago? Yeah. You were able to buy it inexpensively, and people were thinking we were going to have Angela in the Marvel Universe. It never panned out the way that people had hoped. So I'm hoping people held on to those books from that failed. You know, I consider that a failed spec from back then, and now offload those if you have them. I would not keep these if you were planning on selling them. Now is a great time to do it.
You'll notice the image we're using here is of the newsstand edition. That one is truly scarce compared to the regular direct edition, which goes from around $8 to $20, depending on where you get it from. Richard remembers when I won an auction from Matthew Bullock Auctions during the pandemic, and it was a 2 long boxes of independent comics. And there were 36 copies of Spawn number 9 sitting in that box since 1992.
Do you have any of those left?
Nope, they're all gone. I got plenty of number 10 and number 8 if anybody needs them.
Yeah, those seem to be everywhere.
Yeah, tell me about it. Let's show off some books. What do you say? A little show and tell. Hey, Failure had a song called Stuck on You. That was a little modern rock hit. If you heard that song, at least if you heard the opening guitar riff, you would know it immediately. Back from Mexico last week, as you saw, I have some more books that I got there to show off, little mini lightning rounds of Batman. Classic Joker cover.
Oh, wow.
Size. I think I showed this on the live stream on Thursday, so I'm showing it again.
I'm
But
not sure if you showed this particular book on the live stream.
yeah, got that one, and I got the first full appearance of Killer Croc.
Nice.
Notice the sizing. They're almost digest sized at this point. They kind of go back and forth for some reason on the sizing. I wonder if there was a savings on paper or something.
There had to be some reason why they went to a non-standard size. I mean, had to be cost related, I'm assuming.
There's you go down there, you walk around the city in Mexico City. There are newsstands everywhere, magazines everywhere, lots of magazines about telenovelas. That's like the big thing.
Oh,
So
okay.
physical print is still very much alive in Mexico.
Wow. So different from up here.
I know. What do you got?
I was going through my books and I realized something. Some of my favorite X-Men covers are done by Dave Cockrum, and in this case, here we've got X-Men 101. I didn't realize some of my favorite covers are Dave Cockrum covers.
He was the man. The first
Yeah.
one, the first Cockrum run.
Yes, and he did, and we'll see here. I have all these books that I have are X-Men books, so you'll see some more examples of his. But the iconic covers that came from this era seem to be Dave Cockrum covers.
Mm-hmm. Sure are.
For those who are on the podcast, I'm holding up X-Men 101 with the beautiful Phoenix, emerging from the waters with the X-Men around him, her helpless. This just such a great book.
That character is going to go places. Is that your highest graded copy?
Yeah, this is the highest. It's the only book I have, actually. I have a full run of X-Men, and this is the 101 representation in that run. I don't have any other ones.
Garbage Bag Collection?
This came, no, this was, the Garbage Bag Collection did not have a 101. It started at 108.
Okay. He plucked that one out.
Yeah.
Cool. Very cool. Yeah. Dave Cockrum, the first run of Dave Cockrum, he was the man. Another little mini lightning round. I've got two Spider-Man Mexican variants. You've got Amazing Spider-Man number 52.
I love that cover.
With J. Jonah Jameson as the new Spider Slayer, or as we know him down south, El Osombroso Hombre Araña. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it?
Why did Jonah have such a... I can't say the word I'm thinking. Why did he have such anger towards Spider-Man?
A what on?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, they Steve Ditko and Stan Lee did explain that in an early issue of Spider-Man, and he says, I'm paraphrasing here, he's a hero, he's selfless, he's everything I'm not. I'm insecure, I'm angry, I'm only looking out for myself, so Lord help me, I'm jealous of him. That's the root of it.
Okay. Because he goes above and beyond to make Spider-Man enemy number one.
And he's a member of the press, which, Steve Ditko had his thoughts on that. But as we continue this little lightning round with Spider-Man, here is number 144, the Clone Saga.
Yeah, and it's back to normal format size.
Yeah. Oh, the other one, yeah, I've never seen the Marvel ones in that smaller size.
Okay.
Just the Editorial Novedades did that.
Gotcha.
It's the tarantula. He's a tarantula. He's somehow he got up on the Washington Bridge, and there's Spidey going into the drink. Bye. What do you got?
Next one. These are all in numeric order. Another one of my favorite covers is love the motion in this one. This is X-Men 121. This is the first cover appearance of Alpha Flight. You see them there. The energy that is portrayed in this cover is amazing. From the Storm to Cyclops against the Vindicator, just a beautiful, beautiful cover. You picked it off out the newsstand. You couldn't wait to read it because you wanted to see what happens in the book. And this was to me the hot spot in the X-Men run was here all the way through 143.
My first regular monthly, I'm going to buy this every month issue of X-Men ever, 122.
Oh no.
Womp, womp, womp. Spider-Man continues in Mexico and other countries, but at this point, Richard, talking about sizes, we're in the McFarlane era with issue 464, and it jumps to almost like a magazine size now.
Wow.
Well, let me show you the scale comparison here.
Now, do these have do they have posters in the middle?
Some of them do. A lot of the 70s and 80s ones do. At this point, they just start straight ahead reprinting the regular book in this bigger size. The one thing about these is they're really hard to grade. The humid temperatures down there and the elevation, and it's rainy all the time. Lots of rusted staples and water damage on these. So when you find them over a 5.0, you're like, yeah, these are great. And I haven't, some people are very smart. They're very savvy down there. You don't see, ASM 300 out in the wild. You don't see the death of Gwen Stacy out in the wild. They know the keys. They're smart people. But they don't have a lot of time for the Mexican versions down there, the collectors. They want the US versions.
Have you seen any of the Gwen Stacy continuation books in person? Have you seen any of those?
No, the only ones I've ever seen. I take that back. I've seen physical copies when Jose Luis Duran was doing signings, and some collectors had them with them, and he was signing them for them. The only time I've ever seen them. The La Prensas are getting very scarce. Just so you guys know, La Prensa was the original publisher that had the license for Marvel through the 60s and early 70s. They lost that license in the late 70s, and it went to Editorial Novades, who are these guys. So La Prensas used to be really plentiful when I first started going down to Mexico City in the first La Mole. I don't know if you remember. Scooping up La Prensas everywhere. Our mutual friend Forrest, aka DD Comics Fan, has almost a full La Prensa run of Daredevil 1 through 10, thanks to me.
He brought me back some Spideys from there. Yeah.
I never see Captain America. Wonder why. Oh, what is your last show and tell book?
Last book, I lied. They're not in order because this should have been second. Which is another Alpha Flight book, or actually, there's Vindicator on the cover, going after a Weapon X there, who is Wolverine, and you learn a lot about Wolverine in this issue, and so Dave Cockrum covers, John Byrne internals. That's just a match made in heaven, my opinion.
It has to have driven John Byrne nuts that he was not allowed to do his covers at first. And, there's the first appearance of his character, Major Maple Leaf. And then the Alpha Flight cover, according to Byrne, there's truth, lies, and somewhere in between. Jim Shooter forbade him from doing the covers because he didn't think he was ready. Wow. So yeah, Cockrum do the covers. And
I can't, I got to stand with Jim. I think Cockrum did a great job. I can't picture them, John Byrne doing a better job than this. So, yeah.
Then why did he let him do his Iron Fist covers then?
That's a good question. But Iron Fist is not X-Men. At the time, X-Men was, one of the top titles that Marvel had.
It was getting there. Well, not quite. It ascended while Byrne was on the book, for sure. Hey, if you like this and you want more show and tell, why not become a member? Because when you become a member, you get to come to a Thursday evening live stream, 90 minutes of show and tell, and you even get to join us if you like and show some of your collection off. It's $2.99 a month. It helps Richard and I also buy equipment and go to more shows. Just hit join right here on YouTube next to the subscribe button. If you're on a podcast, hi, look, I'm waving at you. Hi, podcast people. Can you see me through the phone? Just go into the link in the description to join as we pivot to everyone's favorite segment, viewer mail. Richard,
you've got mail.
I'm going to start.
Okay.
I don't know how this happened. Somehow I'm the first in the rotation. From our email at bronzeandmoderngods@gmail.com from Glenn Stanton. Hello, John and Richard. After watching your latest underrated book segment featuring John Sable Freelance by Mike Grell And earlier discussing Howard Chaykin's American Flag, I felt it necessary to point out another excellent first comic series, Grimjack, written and drawn by Timothy Truman, who was another great read with top-notch art by Mr. Truman. It also featured a very amusing backup series called Munden's Bar, set in the Nexus of Reality. Oh, by the way, speaking of Nexus, that was another must-buy for me back in the 80s by Mike Barrett and Steve Rude. Variant covers by the dozens and blind bags, by the way. Blah. Yeah. Give me a great story with great art any day of the week over that nonsense. Sincerely, a longtime collector from the Great White North, Glenn Stan. Thank you, Glenn. I think we agree with you. I'd rather spend my money on Badgerback issues than blind bags. Grimjack. I never got into Grimjack, I must admit.
Neither did I.
You think I would really like it because John Ostrander was the writer, who I love his stuff. His Suicide Squad was amazing. His Spectre was amazing. I might have to go back and check out Grimjack. I did get to sort of meet Tim Truman when I was working in my old job at the record label with the Grateful Dead, because he used to be one of the artists we would use for some Grateful Dead stuff. And via email, I got to tell him that I really enjoyed his work on Scout. And he's like, "You're the one."
The only one.
Yeah, I guess it didn't sell well. What is your first piece of your mail?
My first piece is kind of a testament to Marvel's direction here in the past few years. It's from Todd Babcock. And Todd has to say, "My friend slept through almost all of Craven." And I totally hear it. It's this, I think.
Did it come out?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly. It's these movies that Marvel decides to make that I just don't think need to be made.
To be fair, it's not Marvel. That's
no,
Sony.
It's Sony, right?
Yeah.
But you've got movies like Mobius. Were people clamoring for that movie?
Not as much as they were for Madam Web.
Exactly. Why is Marvel focusing on these characters when there's so many alpha characters that are out there?
Marvel's not, Richard, though.
It's the Sonyverse. I understand.
They only have rights to the Spider-Verse characters.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're not doing a Spider-Man movie at the moment, this is what you're left with if you're Sony. And I believe, guys in the chat, tell me, I believe there's a clause that there has to be an active project constantly, or they lose the rights.
They lose the rights, which is why we've had some real stinkers here over the years. But you're spending all this money to make these movies that people don't want to see, and simply for the fact of holding on to those rights. I really wish Marvel would just come up with a chunk of change and say, "Here, Sony, take this money in exchange for the license, and let us go back to making Spider-Man movies." I have a feeling we would see more frequent Spider-Man movies than every 5 years was what it feels like. And just the Miles movie, I think would have been out by now, as opposed to dragging on here for what feels like forever. It's just there just doesn't seem to be anything good in the pipeline for the Sonyverse. And I don't think that's changing anytime soon, because what they put out has just been substandard.
Steaming pile, I believe, is the phrase.
Steaming pile is a good way of putting it.
To your point, why are they picking Craven? Why are they picking Madam Web? Where's our Black Cat movie?
Oh my goodness, that would be so great,
right? Where is our? Gosh, there's even things like The Lizard would be, if it's done right. So it's weird, the choices being made. I mean, next thing you know, we're going to get the announcement, the Rocket Racer trilogy.
Speedball.
Tarantula. Maybe we get to see him walk on screen.
I would love to see Tarantula. Tarantula is like a great. What about Silver Sable? Why not have somebody like that?
I mean, there's on the Wild Pack, right?
Yeah, there's so many great characters in that universe, that milieu that you could pull on, and they're focusing on these also ran characters, in my opinion. And if you're gonna use the license, at least use it to make money.
I wonder how the Punisher got away from that,
Well, that's a
because
good
the
question.
Punisher was a Spider-Man character,
Hmm.
guys.
Yep, first appeared in 129. Yeah, that's a good
Com-
question.
Comments, let us know if you know. Hey, look, it's our friend Brett Rubin. When I say friend of the show, I mean actual friend, like hang out, been on vacation together, friend. Hi guys. A few weeks back, you were talking about Marvel 2-in-1, and I immediately started smiling from ear to ear when John mentioned the words Project Pegasus. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, my Uncle Stu bequeathed to me a few of his treasured old long boxes, and I will never forget that one of the very first issues I randomly pulled out was Marvel 2-in-1 54. That gorgeous cover by Perez and Austin with a terrifying Deathlock standing over Aunt Petunia's old blue-eyed Ben Grimm with a seemingly mortal wound, no less, terrified and fascinated me to no end. I used to stare at that cover like it was a holy relic. Thanks for reviving that priceless memory. Speaking of old treasures, you're going to talk about me, Brett? I'm I'm noticing increased traffic on slabbed pulp magazines from the 30s and 40s at sites like Comic Link and Heritage. What with my key Golden Age slabs and high grade pretty well out of my price range, do you guys think this market has legs and long-term potential? I know they aren't comics, but there are keys with cool covers that could be picked up at relatively decent prices compared to pieces from Timely and DC. Just wondering what you and the community think about this market. As always, thanks for making this crazy, unsettling world just a bit more entertaining and lighthearted twice per week. All the best, Brett. Thanks, Brett.
Thanks, Brett.
Pulps. First ever Tarzan. First ever Conan the Barbarian. Why aren't these $10,000 plus books, Richard?
I just don't think pulps have the penetration that comics have in terms of the psyche of collectors. There is a class of collectors that picks pulp, and they focus on that pretty much, and it's a fascinating hobby because the pulp magazines themselves, you're not really collecting for the stories for the most part. You're collecting the covers
Mhm.
because there are some beautiful covers from that period, science fiction ones, Google art ones, horror ones, and these are covers, hand painted originals or airbrushed originals. They're just beautiful. Uh, but the problem is they're very fragile,
Yeah.
and so finding high grade ones are very, very difficult. And when you do find them, they're incredibly expensive. This is a hobby that I have dabbled in and have gone around the edges because there's some beautiful comics from the early 30s, late 20s that are just beautiful painted uh, covers. But $400 or $500 for one, and you don't want to get into. At least I don't want to get into that hobby where I'm spending that kind of money for an average collectible.
Right.
But if you like it, I think it's fascinating. They're just beautiful, beautiful pieces of work, and to me, it's also the act of preserving that piece of history from, our publishing from that early part of the century. Um, so I would, if I wasn't collecting comics already, it might be something that I was into. I would get farther into. I've got a couple pieces and I like those pieces, but that's probably as far as I'm getting into it because, like I said, it is not an inexpensive hobby if you're collecting those covers and books that people really look and gravitate towards.
I have to wonder if it's a lesson for us as comic book collectors when we were talking about, as we're aging out, who's going to want our books in
Mhm.
30 years? Will anyone want comic books in 30, 40, 50 years? Look at pulps. They're still hanging in there. In fact, they're kind of having a little bit of a resurgence right now.
Mhm. Yeah,
So
like I said, you're. It's not uncommon to pay 3 figures, 4 figures for a pulp, and for the more rare ones, the sky's the limit, especially in higher grades. And they're out there. They're out there. There's books that have been sitting in a dry environment for the past 60 years. Grandma put them away, and when first, Second World War stuck them in a alcove. They're out there, and and it's the thrill of the hunt again. That's one of the things that really got me excited about getting back into comics, is that thrill of the hunt. That is 100% on for pulps. It's kind of like Indiana Jones digging around, but it's a hobby that requires a pretty decent investment.
Am I the only person that gets excited when I see a hoarder house?
Oh, no, 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 not at all. Not at all. I I picture opening some random cabinet or closet, and it is from floor to rafters full of comics, to the point where you can't get them out unless you pull a section out, and then that top
or you open a closet and like 17 cats come streaming out. What's your next piece of viewer mail?
My next piece is from YouTube channel, the Ramp Local. Hey, hi, the Ramp. Appreciate your comment. And he says, I was watching a British comic book channel. I wish I remember the name, but the dude bought 10 mystery bags that were not cheap, by the way, and opened them on video. He ended up getting super pissed and hulking out, tearing up repeat comics that he got in said mystery bags. He got
Were they Rob Liefeld Captain America's?
Yeah. He got 4 to 5 copies of the same books in a few of the mystery bags. From what I have seen and heard, it's literally old stock that they can't get rid of, with a splash of key books, very rarely worthwhile grail included, playing into the FOMO.
Ding,
yeah,
ding, ding, ding.
That's exactly and I'll talk more about it when we get to the underrated books, because I had picked an underrated book that falls in this category. Yeah, I don't know why this hasn't happened earlier. This is, this whole mystery box or breaking concept is very prevalent with baseball cards, sports cards, magic cards, Pokemon. Anytime where you have some randomness involved in whether or not you're going to get something valuable. And then, they've taken the opportunity to do, as the Ramp Local here says, take a bunch of books that are,
here's
just
all my old store stock of Valiant, Archer, and Armstrong number 13s.
Yes.
Stuff like that.
And through, having, 200 packs of these, and in one of those 200 packs, they throw in a 5.0 Amazing Spider-Man 129.
You assault a couple with the golden ticket from Willy Wonka. Absolutely.
Yeah, that's it. And now you're, it's called chasing, and it's called that for a reason, because you're spending your money towards trying to get to those valuable books.
Yeah,
it is. And I'm just surprised that it's taken this long for comics to really get behind this. We've had blind boxes before, but it just seems to now we're getting to a point where it's reaching the mainstream, and we're seeing it more and more. And it's as I said, I have more words to say about this later.
It's an inventory clearer that's been around for decades. I remember comic shows in the 80s when someone would have mystery bags and a bunch of remainders wrapped in a brown bag. It's nothing new. It's just you buyer beware, because you better like some 90s Drek, because that's all you're going to get for most of it.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that Avengers 1 you're hoping for. Hey, speaking of people that like old Marvel comics, it's our friend Gary Sassaman, aka Tales from My Spinner Rack, here on YouTube. If you're not subscribed, you might want to do yourself a favor, especially if you like this show. Tales from My Spinner Rack is right up your alley. Watching your new episode, and was very pleased for the mention of my latest episode. Hey, there you go. But you know what? I bought that Captain America 143 off the stands in August of 1971, and I'm on my second copy on my spinner rack these days. And I've never noticed that the Falcon has 2 different costumes on the cover. You remember I pointed that out when I showed the cover. I did talk about the Falcon's new costume in the following issue, 144, though, with art by Gray Morrow. But there's also 10 pages of great Romita art, too. Thanks again, Gary. Yeah, that 25-cent issue of Captain America in the 70s the Falcon is in his old costume on the cover, but the corner spotlight feature has his new costume, which doesn't make its debut until the next issue. Whoopsie. Thanks for writing in, Gary. And what is your last piece of viewer mail?
My last piece is from our buddy Pure Comic Collector. And I got to give a shout out to PCC. My wife works for United Cerebral Palsy of Greater Cleveland. It's an organization that supports children and adults who have disabilities, like cerebral palsy, giving them the skills that they need to live their own life.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing fancy here. Just going out and being able to do your own grocery shopping, for example. Independence. It is a key tenet of what they do. They had their big gala yesterday. And one of the items they had in the auction that they were selling to raise money was this beautiful framed poster from Endgame, Avengers Endgame. And it was signed by everybody. Everybody, it seemed like, in that movie had signed this thing. And so this was up for auction. I had mentioned it in our live show that we did on Thursday. And PCC stepped up. He actually bid on this and won it.
Wow.
So, congrats. First of all, it's a beautiful piece. I'm going to have it shipped out to you on Monday when my wife brings it back. We'll get it out to you quickly as possible. But this is another reason why you tune into our live shows and members only live shows, because you get things like opportunities like that. I think it was great. I was kind of mad that I didn't bid on it.
I was going to say, did he get a steal or was there a fight?
I don't know. I did not follow that. I was doing other things. But there was two things in the auction I was going to bid on, and that was one of them. And I regretted. Although now that I know that PCC got it, I'm so happy for you. I think you're going to love the piece, and we'll get it out to you quickly. Anyway, well, let's talk about his comics this week. And that is great episode, guys. Love Richard's picks for show and tell. Thank you. I found it interesting that Richard was tempted by a 9.8 Miracle Man #1 when he already has a graded 9.2. Have we all fallen prey to CGC's marketing on having to have 9.8s? I remember being a youngster back in the late 80s, and any book that was an approximate 8.5 or higher was considered a high grade book. Is this CGC programming for the last 25 years now that they've been around for a while? Don't get me wrong. I love 9.8s, but are they worth the premium? Would love to hear your point of view. Actually, no. I was tempted is an interesting word. It's a cool book. It's $4,000. I already have a 9.2.
Yeah, I think you specifically said you were not interested because you had.
No, I wasn't really. It's cool. If I didn't have the 9.2 as in my collection already and had it for a while, $4,000 is a lot to ask. But it would have been even more tempting. But I've got the 9.2. Pardon?
Did it sell? Do you know?
Oh, you know what? I should go look and see.
Yeah, you guys go look. Tell us. All right.
But no, you're right though. There is a lot of FOMO. There's a lot of 9.8 is the perfect grade. That's kind of how a lot of people feel. But it's arbitrary. It's 100% arbitrary. Because there's 9.9s, there's 10.0s, there's 9.6s. Who's to say what makes and constitutes the perfect grade? I'm one of those guys that the grade that I find, I like the higher grades definitely because it presents better. But if I get a nice book, I've got a Fantastic Four #3. That's a 1.0.
Yeah,
I have it because I wanted a Fantastic Four #3. I really didn't care about the grade. And now if a 5.0 comes up or a 6.0, I'm good. Yeah. I got the 1.0. I don't need anything better than that. So yeah, you don't have to have a 9.8. 9.8 is, and its value is definitely something that's dictated by the market. But as a collector, collect what you like and collect what you have available to you. Don't hold out for that 9.8 if you see a nice 9.6 that comes by. It really isn't any reason to.
He mentions, is this a recent thing since CGC came along 25 years ago? And I think yes. Especially those of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s. Richard, did you ever order back issues from anyone online or by mail back in the day?
No,
I
everything I
did.
bought was often, yeah.
And when you ordered, you were like, do you want, a very good to fine copy, or do you want a fine to near mint copy? I mean, that was the grades you were offered. And when you got it, a near mint back in the day is very different than a near mint now. If older collectors are being real honest, you used to overlook a lot of flaws when you were a kid,
Mhm.
um,
Yeah.
and you still thought the book was near mint.
It's kind of
So,
the De Beers syndrome, where you get one company setting a standard and making people meet that standard or feel that that standard is important.
well, luckily, after 25 years, slabs are dead. By the way, 25 years, it's the 25-year rule. They're not as smooth as silk.
That was great. I loved it.
Okay. Hey, Richard, this is for you. Okay. You like Alan Moore?
I do.
You like Paul Chadwick and Concrete?
I do.
How about two great tastes that taste great together with Tom Strong, #9 from America's Best Comics /DC in the year 2000? This is Tom Strong, written by Alan Moore, of course, with guest artist Paul Chadwick from Concrete. This is a special done-in-one story where Tom investigates a mysterious cave that may hold the secrets of humanity's origins. Paul Chadwick brings his distinct textured style to Moore's pulp-inspired science hero world, blending concrete-like realism with Tom Strong's retro adventure tone. And it also highlights Alan Moore's love of Golden Age style storytelling while pushing his big sci-fi philosophical questions about evolution and destiny. Nothing heavy. Often praised as one of the standout Tom Strong issues, it shows how Alan Moore opened the series to collaborations with other top creators, because usually it was Chris Sprouse doing the art on Tom Strong very well, kind of like the successor to Supreme. They were on Supreme together, Rob Liefeld's Supreme. And when that imploded, as Rob projects tend to do, hey, you guys buying the new Youngblood? They kind of went off and did Tom Strong a riff on kind of a Doc Savage superhero kind of thing. Great news about all these America's Best comics. They are dirt cheap, $3 to $5 on eBay for this. And it's just a great run to pick up. If you've never tested these books or tasted these books, they are quite delicious.
How did they get Alan Moore to do this book? Do you have any insight?
Well, Alan Moore swore he would never, ever work for DC Comics again after the way he was treated for The Watchmen. So he started his own imprint called America's Best Comics under Wildstorm, Jim Lee's Wildstorm Comics, and all was great. Then Jim Lee sold Wildstorm to DC.
Oh.
Now, Wildstorm at this point was still a separate editorial division. So they assured Moore that, hey, no one from DC is going to mess with you. Then came the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, issue 3, where he had the Marvel douche ad, and DC made him change it. Hey, that's how.
Okay.
Acquisitions, corporate acquisitions, Richard. You end up working for the people you hate no matter what. Because there soon will be nothing but God Corp. Get it all, grab it all, squeeze it all. You Steve Gerber fans know exactly what I'm referring to. Hey, it's our underrated books of the week. Richard, what do you got?
All right, here we go. I'm going to wind up here.
Yeah, exactly.
My underrated book this week is All-Star Comics number 58. For those who know, that's the first appearance of Power Girl. KRS Comics has who's one of my favorite kind of store imprints. They are doing blind bags for this book, where they've got a number of copies of this with different covers. They're selling them in blind bags. And we talked earlier about how we're basically getting old stock and we're throwing them in. You got covers in here now. They've the rarest book in this set is a recycled cover from Power Girl #1, I believe it is. There's just a variety of books, a variety of covers in this set.
Are
And
these new printings or are these remaindered stock? Do you know?
I believe they're all new printings because there are foils in here.
Okay.
There are virgin covers in here. My problem with this, and this very well may lead to me stop buying new comics. My problem with this is if the whole industry goes to this model where you can't just buy the cover that you want without going through this rigmarole of blind bags. I don't even care if it's rare, even if it's a 1 in 100 copy or of a book, you still have an opportunity to find it in the wild, right? I mean, you come across a publisher or a comic book store with about 100 copies of it. There's the 1 in 100. You can pay. You may pay more than the ratio. That's fine. You still have the opportunity to just go and buy the book. If everything is going to be in these stupid blind bags where you don't know what you're getting, you're spending money, as we read in the earlier viewer mail. You're buying 10 bags looking for this one particular comic, and you still don't get it. I've went through all that, buying magic cards and opening packs and packs and packs of magic cards. Funnily enough, those packs were $3.95, and comic books are now more expensive than the packs.
Man,
it's a direction that I can see the industry going because it maximizes their profits, but it's at the sacrifice of people who are looking to have certain books in their collection. Now, instead of being able to buy them direct from the publisher, again, even if it's rare or 1 in 100, you got to go through you got to go through somebody who's opening blind bags and hopefully coming across one, and then they're going to sell it at a steep premium because they got lucky and got this particular book. You got to rely on that whole secondary market to be able to get it. I just think that's unfair, and it's not why I collect comics, and it's not what I enjoy doing. I may just go back to just and I've gone in that direction, just buying classic books, buying golden age books, and let the people who want to do this continue to collect modern books. It's sad, in my opinion.
Our news segment, Richard's Rants.
Sorry, I had another book. I originally picked this book, and because it made me mad. And
I enjoy this. Don't apologize.
And then I switched it. So we'll do my pick that I picked next week instead of this. But this is I mean, it's how I feel about the direction of these blind bags. I think it's really changing the way people have access to comics in a negative way for the collector. It's a positive way for the publisher, or in this case, KRS Comics, because they're bagging up all these books and selling multiple bags to one person, as opposed to one person just going out and buying the one book that they want.
Yeah.
It's if that's the direction we're going in, and I can see it happening.
Well, we've been here before. That's why we're so sensitive to it. The early 90s, gimmick covers, Death of Superman in a bag. We've seen it. We know what happens. We know how the story, everyone that listens to this podcast, unless you're one of those youngsters, you know how the story ends, guys.
Yeah, but I always felt like there were outliers, and even people like J. Scott Campbell, who sells mystery boxes. You get 6 books in the mystery box. You can still buy the books in other methods. You weren't limited. The only way that you can get that book is by buying that mystery box.
Right. And there's 6 J. Scott Campbell covers. That's something very, very different. And if you don't like, what's your favorite guy? Will Jack?
Oh, Will Jack. Yeah. He's got a cover in this set.
Of course he does.
Yeah.
By the way, he will what? No, I love it, Richard. I love Richard Unleashed. We never get to see it. He's so even keeled and level headed. Usually it's me ranting. I'm going to rant about my underrated book of the week that I love. It is Marvel Superheroes 21, Richard. Not 20.
That was close.
21, the next issue. It features a striking, dramatic cover by Severin and John Romita Sr. Should this not have been a poster?
That is a really cool cover. I have to say that there are a number of covers in that run that are just really cool, but this is great.
I love this cover. I always have. Now, if you have, like Richard, multiple copies of issue 20 and you've read that, you will know that they teased the next issue, the debut of a brand new superhero named Starhawk, right? Well, Martin Goodman said, I hate science fiction. I don't want this coming out. Pull this. So it never got published. Instead, issue 21 is where Marvel Superheroes became a straight-ahead reprint title with no more news stories. This issue reprints Avengers #3 and X-Men #2, leaving readers wondering about that missing new character, that Starhawk. Well, years later, a different Starhawk would be introduced in Defenders #27 as part of the Guardians of the Galaxy's mythos, unrelated to the original abandoned version that was supposed to be in this issue. But we're talking about the cover art. Look at that. Ooh, I think this is a very classic Marvel Silver Age bombastic cover.
Perfect for that era too. You know, X-Men 2.
Yeah.
That's just feels like directly from that period.
Am I on something, everybody? Is this cover not great? Why isn't this cover more highly prized? If you want one, you know, mid grade's about 15 to 20 bucks. High grade, 60 bucks and up. That white cover kind of grabs all the dirt. Plus, it was a reprint title in a giant size book. Not a lot of people prized this or wanted it. I don't have one. I used to have a really nice one. I don't know what happened to it. I went to go look for it for today's show. She was gone. So hopefully it's in another box somewhere that I can't find. But Marvel Superheroes 21, again, sorry, Richard, one issue off.
Yeah, I got my 20.
Yeah, is something I'm on the lookout for. And so please don't buy any until I'm done.
No problem. I'll save them for you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Hey, we are back for a members only live stream on Thursday. Everyone else, we'll see you Monday. Hopefully Friday, Richard, I go in for my skin cancer laser burning off on my face on Friday morning.
Okay. We'll see. The last time you did it on your scalp, you said it was tremendously painful.
I look like Deadpool up there without his mask. So we'll see if I have a hamburger face Friday afternoon. Hopefully I can record over the weekend for Monday's show. If not, you might have Richard and a special guest. Who knows?
Well, good luck, John.
Thank you.
And stay safe.